I've come to a house near a place called Bedford because I've been tipped off about a barn find of a classic sports car I've always dreamt of owning. I've wanted one of these for so long. I've been offered the car at a bargain price, but it hasn't been driven for 16 years and apparently has a few issues. The car's behind this door, so I'm going to head inside and check it out. Am I about to realise a dream or end up in a nightmare? I'm here with Rich from Auto 2000 in Bedford. So Rich, can you tell me the story about this car? Because you contacted me about it, but you don't actually own it, do you?
So this car belongs to a client of ours, and it's been in his family for many years. Actually, it was his brother's car originally, and he had it in storage since 2008. And then sadly, his brother died 3 years ago. It's a great car, and when I found it, I thought of you, Matt, and I thought, this is something that I think this guy's going to like.
You've absolutely nailed it, because it is. I've been thinking about one of these for such a long time.
I know you have.
So I know that your client, he wants something good to happen to this car, doesn't he, in honour of his brother. You guys, you're experts in restoring these kind of cars, so
yeah.
Shall we have a look at what it is?
Okay.
Go on, you do it. You do the honours.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just in case bits fall off it. I do it. Okay, look at it. I've wanted one of these for so long. An air-cooled Porsche 911.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
What a great colour as well. Oh my gosh. So this is a...
SC.
Porsche 911 SC. The SC is a G-body 911 identified by its chunky impact bumpers required for US regulations. Launched in 1974, 10 years after the original 911, the first G-body was the 2.7. The Turbo 930 followed in 1975, and in 1978 came the SC, known as the Super Carrera, with a 3-litre flat six which was actually less powerful than the early 2.7. In 1984, the SC was replaced by the 3.2 Carrera, which was the last G-body before the 964 arrived in 1989. Early and late SCs differ, with later models being more desirable due to their higher power output. Tell me about this particular 911 SC. Which one is it?
Okay, so this is a 1982 car. It's done 120,000 miles. The earlier ones had less horsepower, so this has got 204 brake horsepower. It's got the 915 gearbox, which is a slightly lighter gearbox than a G50.
Which is the later gearbox.
Which
so
is the later.
You get in a 3.2 like from 1985 or something.
Yeah, so 1983 onward. The great thing about these cars is the performance. The torque curve on them is just great. It's just straight up.
So in terms of the price of this thing, I've got an option to buy it for £15,000. What we're going to do, we're going to look around the car, we're going to check it over, we're going to work out what works on it, what doesn't work on it. If at the end of the day I'm too nervous because the amount of work that we'll have to go into getting it roadworthy is just too much for me to face, you'll give me a get out of jail free card and you'll actually buy it.
Yeah, we'll buy it and we'll do the work ourselves and we'll put it into stock.
So we're going to find out if I'm actually going to buy this car or not by the end of the video. I've got to make that decision. Will I buy the car? That depends on what we uncover. You see, you can't trust these cars at face value. An old G-body 911, especially one that's been unused for years, may hide costly issues. But so far, the signs look good. Let's start off with the bonnet, which generally looks pretty good to me, apart from some scratches. What would you plan to do with this? Because I'd like to keep the car as original as possible.
Yeah.
I don't want to replace everything. I want to keep the cost down if I buy this.
Yeah, if we can polish that out, and it leaves a nice patina so you keep the originality of the car, then we'll do that.
The wings though, this has got some weird gouge out of it.
Yeah,
But
I
that
think
doesn't look like that couldn't be fixed.
debatable whether or not we can save these wings because they go at the top here, so they rust, they corrode here.
Oh
at
yeah,
the
that
top,
looks quite rusty.
and the other side's the same.
Okay, because I've noticed down here there's a bit of
Yeah.
bubbling, and bubbling doesn't come from the outside, it comes from the inside, doesn't
Yeah.
it? We're also missing a cowling for this light here.
That's
Maybe we'll
right, a
have to have
bezel, yeah.
We might have to have a look for that. Let's have a look underneath the bonnet and see what's going on under here. Can't see any obvious signs of rust. I've seen various pictures of like the fuses in these cars looking an absolute mess.
Then, you know, being stored in the garage though, it's been pretty well protected.
Okay, let's have a look at this wing, because this has got bubbling there. This wing you think is done?
I think so.
That's worrying for me there.
These are common areas that they go, so it's really where the water pools. The scuttle panel probably needs to be changed as well.
Real wheel arches. This one's got a scuff on it, but it doesn't look like it's rusty.
No, it looks pretty good actually. This area here is normally where they go as well, and this looks really good. And from what I can see, it's got a bit of a ding actually on this side. That can be pulled out, that's not an issue.
Anything under here or in the engine bay, apart from a bit dusty, for a car that hasn't moved for like years,
They normally corrode around this area here, but again, it's looking pretty solid. It's a time capsule, it's just been left here really.
At £15,000, this SC seemed like a bargain. The bodywork issues were estimated to cost £15,000 to fix, meaning I could get my hands on a tidy SC for about £30,000, which is 20 grand below market value. But then potential repair costs began to rise.
Right, so I was hoping to not see this because we've got some rust in there, like clear rust.
Yeah.
We've got, I'm not sure about this sill, we've got some rust there. Oh dear, look, when I hit it, there's bits of car falling off.
Yeah, it's not as we'd hoped, to be honest.
Oh dear. Oh wait, yeah, I can really I reckon I could snap this sill.
The biggest cost with these cars is fixing rusty bodywork. What looks like minor bubbling can hide serious corrosion, only revealed once cutting begins. A common issue is with the kidney bowls, which are structural parts hidden behind the sills. Replacing them is costly and extensive.
It's looking like at least an outer sill.
There's bubbling there as well.
So potentially the kidney bowl behind here needs to be replaced as well. So we won't know more until we actually got it back to the workshop and had a look.
Oh dear, that could be a problem.
At this point, I was thinking about walking away. Then I sat inside the car and fell in love. Not with Rich, though he's a nice bloke.
Porsche started to put a little bit of luxury into the SCs.
Just testing the seats out, actually.
Yeah, the seats are really comfortable.
They're lovely, aren't they?
Yeah, and they hug you as well.
Oh, these are the sports seats, aren't
Yeah.
they? They're in reasonable condition.
They are. There's no rips or tears in any of the interior. It just probably just would need a good clean.
Look what I found.
Oh, that would be useful.
Just having a look about the place. Yeah, the carpets seem fine. Headlining, that's okay. But it's not sagging, is it really?
No, it's in pretty good shape.
Gear knob there, that doesn't seem original.
No, that's not original. That's not the original steering wheel either.
Neither's the stereo.
No, the Rip Speed face-off stereo didn't come in this car.
And then there's the speakers in the door, which I'm not so sure
yeah,
about.
I don't think they're original, they're aftermarket.
I've noticed that these door cards look a bit sorry.
Yeah, they sag effectively. The cards swell, the screws fall out, and then the pockets come away. But the door card, the top of the door as well,
Okay.
they tend to sort of bend and misshape over time.
Is that expensive to fix?
Yeah, they're difficult to get hold of, but what a lot of people do is they'll change it for an RS door card. But the problem you've got with this one is that the interior is blue. We're probably going to have to
Do some repairs.
do some repairs on that.
Okay, right. And let's just have a look in the very back. But it doesn't look bad at all. The carpet's been removed, so I can see there doesn't seem to be rust down there, but we'll need to check that in more detail a little later on.
Replacing interior trim is expensive, plus fresh door cards just wouldn't match the rest of the patina on the car. Plus, I wanted to avoid a full respray to keep the cost down. So, how is the car stacking up now?
Do you know what? It's good. And then there's bits that are not so good. That you're just like, oh, why are you like that? Why are you broken in that way?
It's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't
Oh, it is. It is. Speaking
Yeah.
of which, you know what? Open that door and just check that cell because I haven't been able to get round to it.
it? Oh, actually, it looks pretty good. Oh, no. My fingers are going straight through it.
Oh, so that's what's going to need doing. Oh, do you know what? We really need to get this up on a ramp to have a good look round it and underneath it because it could be a mess underneath.
Yeah.
And there's the other thing we need to do.
We need to get it going.
We need to start the engine, but we can't do it here, can we?
No, we've got to get back to the workshop.
Let's head to Auto 2000.
Auto 2000 is Richard's workshop, where he and his brother have worked on Porsches of all ages for over 30 years. But first, we had to get the car onto a flatbed, which wasn't straightforward.
With the car going on, I can just hear something. I can hear the brakes creaking. They are clearly very, very seized on. Oh, that's another thing.
As if getting the car on the trailer wasn't hard enough, getting it off was even trickier. And because the brakes didn't work, we couldn't stop it rolling off the truck too fast. Oh dear. Hopefully, I didn't need to add a new exhaust to the cost of the repairs. After about 30 minutes of messing about and the use of some jacks, we finally got the car off the flatbed and onto a lift, so the full inspection could begin. What would we find?
You've been working on Porsches for how long?
30 years.
Is most of that these air-cooled Porsches, the water-cooled, or a mixture?
I've sort of cut my teeth on these, if you like. You think 30 years ago these were more popular.
These are rarer now, aren't they?
These are, yeah.
And quite expensive.
Yeah.
And they do have quite a lot of problems, most of which are bodywork, aren't they? So
Yeah. So that's what we're going to have a look at now.
And you've got your special device for finding out how bad the rust is.
Tappy device.
Yeah.
Because I can see in here there is some rust.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So I'm going to use this to try and detect how bad it is.
Okay.
So if I tap on here, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? That sounds bad.
Okay. I actually thought you were just going to push that through the body panels.
That would go through.
We got the car up into the air and started checking from back to front. The first thing to check, due to the earlier mishap, was the exhaust.
The exhaust is good.
Yeah.
Oil pipe looks good. CV boot looks good. CV boot looks good.
What about some of this rust here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit grotty, isn't it? But I don't worry about that, really.
Okay. And the gearbox, there seems to be quite a bit of drippage from the gearbox.
There's a little bit there, isn't there? So that could well be this plate here, which is quite an easy fix. That might have happened over a long, long period of time. The other thing is this is probably seized. Oh, yeah.
What's that? The gear changing,
So
is it?
that's the throttle.
Oh.
That's the throttle pivot.
Are you going to start it?
Well,
Can we just WD-40 it?
no. This looks really quite good along here, which is nice. You can see that there, look.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of rust. When they get to this age, that can be all the way along and it like blows out.
Things were looking okay until we got to the sills.
Well, you can see the bolts have rusted away and the brackets are gone that's supposed to hold the oil pipes. Yeah.
The sill's gone.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah, the sill is totally
Yeah.
gone. Should we check this other side as well? Yes, look.
Yeah.
That's totally gone.
With both sills gone, there was a good chance the kidney bowls behind them would be rotten out too. I wanted to give up right there, but Nick wasn't finished.
Let's move on. There, that seems okay. So this is the petrol tank.
Yeah.
So that,
We don't want to be bodging that, do we?
not really. That would be a clean up and a reseal.
Okay. How about these suspension arms and stuff?
We probably would change these bushes. Look, there's
Yeah.
a massive gap there. It's just old, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just old
and a massive gap there. We know the brakes are bad. I mean, that's. I can't move that. That's why we couldn't get it off the truck. So quite a bit of work then.
There's quite a lot of work.
I would say so, yeah. And that's just a quick look around. Obviously, we haven't even got it running yet.
Okay, let's try that then.
Whether the engine starts will be the decider as to if I will buy this car. The good news is it has had a top engine rebuild in the past, but that was just before it went into storage, almost 2 decades ago. And parts of these cars are prone to corrosion, so the rebuild might not be quite the positive I'd hoped for. More on that in a bit, because first we need to prep the SC for its first start in ages.
In order to get the engine running, we're going to need some bits. So fortunately, the guys have ordered parts from GSF Car Parts. We've got a delivery. It's turning up. I'm here with my trolley to receive said parts. GSF Car Parts are now doing a new range of Porsche stuff. So any Porsche that you've got, they can get all the parts for you, and they work with garages to deliver them as and when they're needed. Those look like braking parts. Oh good, here's the battery. Definitely need a new battery. So it's a DriveTech battery. It's JSF's own brand, that is, and it's made to original equipment standards, and it comes with a 3-year warranty as well. Yeah, flushing oil. We're going to need flushing oil to flush out that engine. Right, good stuff, thank you very much. It's like I've got the drinks trolley. Look, I've got some blades. That is one part that I can fit myself, so we'll be able to do a bit of work on the car.
If you need some parts for your Porsche, or any car for that matter, head to gsfcarparts.com and use the code MW25 for up to 25% off. You can collect in store, or they will deliver direct to your door. To go there now, follow the link in the description of this video or the pinned comment. There's also a pop-out banner in the top right hand corner of the screen you can click on, or just scan the QR code to go directly there now. Next, Nick said about draining the ancient oil out of the car, removing it from both the reservoir and the sump. Then he drained the old fuel, which had been sat in the car for just as long. Then he tested the old fuel pump to see if it would work.
So what we want now is to hear it.
That's what we want to hear.
Come on, fuel pump. Oh.
No, it doesn't look good.
No.
Right.
Oh,
no.
Yes!
We have a fuel pump.
Yes!
Fueled with optimism, we put fresh petrol in the car, and feeling confident, I thought it was time for me to get my hands dirty.
Right, I've got the oil filter from GSF Car Parts, so you're going to remove the old one.
I'm going to take the old one off now.
Oh, blimey neck.
It's been on there a while, hasn't it?
Oh, go on! My God.
That's the old filter off.
No oil dripping out of that.
No, but we do need to put some oil on that rubber seal. And that's more to do with it coming off again later. One on there. That should then go on quite nice.
Actually, sort of making myself useful, although I almost put it on with that. I'm going to need help, aren't I? I'm not even going to be able to do this right. I'm determined.
Think you got it.
Porsche anoraks may be saying, but it's not a red filter. Yeah, if you know, you know. Don't worry, Nick explains why this first filter is merely sacrificial.
So what I was going to do, because you've got
Good oil. We've got Mobile 1.
So we're not going to waste that, because literally we're going to run it, get it warm, drain it out, throw it away, and then we're going to do the whole thing again.
So we just want some...
So what we're going to use is, this is Porsche spec.
Porsche spec.
Porsche
Oh, I said Porsche spec. Okay, Porsche spec. Okay.
Porsche spec oil. So we're just going to use this for now.
Okay.
Before starting the engine, I reviewed the SE's history. Just 2,000 miles ago, it had a top engine rebuild costing £10,000. This is quite common on these cars, as the factory head studs can corrode and snap, ruining the engine. Higher quality studs from the 993 were fitted, but these can still corrode over time, especially in a car that has been sat still for so long as this one has. So the engine rebuild might not be the selling point that I first thought it was. To check for issues, Nick used a bore scope, inserting a tiny camera through the spark plug hole to inspect the cylinder and the piston, a bit like an endoscopy for a car. And what we found wasn't good.
What's that there?
It's a little bit scored,
It
doesn't
does,
it?
doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, it does actually. It's
Yeah.
a bit there, look.
There.
Great,
It's
is it?
not good, is it?
It's not good.
And it's had an engine rebuild, like
2,000 miles before.
How's it scored?
I mean, it doesn't look rusty, does it?
No, it's not rusty. It's just,
I mean, it might be with a run.
it will smooth out. Yeah.
It might smooth out, and then we can do
Yeah.
another bore scope afterwards. But I think we may as well, because we can't make it any worse.
No.
We might as well fire it up and do another bore scope.
Okay.
Bore scoring occurs when the piston rubs against the cylinder wall due to oil issues, causing vertical scratches that hurt performance and require new liners and pistons to be fitted. We needed to find out if these marks were actually scoring or something else.
It has got signs of bore scoring, but it might clean up once it's been running. So we're going to turn it over now. Do 2 revolutions. Okay, so that's 2 over 2. I suppose we ought to just change the fuel filter now.
Okay, shall I get you the fuel filter?
Yeah, grab the fuel filter and I'll just take it off, shall I?
I got the new filter, which was from GSF Car Parts, and while fitting it, noticed some rather worrying metallic debris in the engine bay.
That looks a bit... I'm not sure what that is.
It's a bit shiny.
Looks like sawdust, or is it?
Sand.
Is it sand?
Sand, is it?
Like, how do you get sand in there unless it's been submerged?
It's really, really fine. Oh, I know what it is. It's the filter. The filter's degraded.
Could well be from
And
the
it's just
air filter.
debris.
Have we still got the filter?
Really?
Yeah.
So hopefully it hasn't been sucked into the engine, but it doesn't seem to have been sucked back there, does it? Where's the intake?
Yeah,
back
it's
there?
just up there, yeah. I don't think it could.
Let's just have a look at
Go,
the filter.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you see, you can, basically where this is paper, isn't it? But you can see that it's.
There's a mouse been in here.
No, probably sort of rodent.
Could a mouse have nibbled that?
Yeah.
Look, what's all this?
Yeah, it's mouse droppings.
Oh great, rodents had nested in the car, possibly gnawing on parts like the electrics, which could be a major issue. But for now, the engine was our priority, so we fitted a new battery from GSF. Hopefully, mice hadn't eaten through the car's starter motor wiring.
We're going for it now. So expect lots of smoke. If it does start, nothing may not even happen. It might not even turn over. We just don't know.
Go on then.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's do it. Nothing. It's turning over okay.
Yeah, I'm not hearing the fuel pump run.
No.
Try and bypass the fuel pump.
But it was whizzing the fuel pump.
Yeah, but that's putting the wires straight to it.
Okay, so the fuel pump works, but...
Not necessarily via its electrical system.
Could this problem be mouse related? Nick set about checking the electrics.
I'm just giving them a little roll, because obviously it's been stood a long time. So I'm going to put my test lamp on there now and just go from terminal to terminal.
Okay.
To make sure we're definitely okay there. And then it's fuel pump relay. Failing that, the immobiliser's been taken out of the car, but we don't know if it's been done properly. So, yeah, so it could be investigation yet, but you know, at least it turns over.
It turns over. So it's not seized.
No, it's not seized.
Thankfully, it didn't take Nick long to find the problem.
Aha!
Power there. No power there. This
And that's
is fuel pump relay.
Ah, look at that. And when you rotate it, it comes on and off.
Just not a very good connection.
Oh, we might be on.
Could it be that simple?
Come on. Do you reckon? It's going to be, isn't it? Come on.
Let's say so.
Can you hear the fuel pump?
I can hear the relay. It sounds like the relay's making a funny clicking noise. No, still not quite.
Oh, I got prematurely excited there.
Just going to swap this relay out for this relay.
So that's a new relay.
So I'll just swap that from another position.
Okay.
Try it again. Still making that funny noise. Okay, so it's going to take some investigating then. So there's something strange going on. This relay seems to be
Shorted.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, it's clicking away.
And it's doing that noise, and I'm seeing things here.
What do you mean?
These are Scotch locks.
Yeah.
So someone's been messing around with the wiring, so we could have a dodgy connection there.
Oh.
And it's not keeping it.
Yeah.
Shouldn't do that.
Is there another way to just put some fuel into it?
Well, I suppose first we can check to see if we've got a spark.
Okay, let's check for a spark.
What we're going to do is see if we get a spark from here to there.
Okay.
Okay, Rich, go.
Got a spark.
That's great. We could just power up the fuel pump direct and then just see what happens.
Let's power up the fuel pump direct and
do
see
that.
what happens.
However, as is always the case with old cars that haven't been run in ages, we encountered yet another issue.
It's packed up.
Looks like it's packed up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thankfully, we had a spare fuel pump, which Nick fitted. If this didn't work, diagnosing an electrical fault, likely caused by mice, would take too long. Time was running out. It was now or never.
Come on. Yes! Come on! It's gonna go. Yes, though! Yes! Come on!
Right, you crank. I'm going to play.
So what are you going to do now?
I'm just going to try and do it manually. Okay, give it a crank, Rich. I'm just going to throttle it.
The car started, which was great news. But there was so much smoke we had to evacuate the building. And it appears that our timing was perfect, as we had another delivery. This time though, not from GSF.
Just in time. Look, pizza delivery.
Well, you weren't wrong.
It worked!
It was good.
Unfortunately, our celebrations were cut short, a bit like the engine run. Rich explained why.
I know exactly what's happened. The throttle was stuck on then, so that's why it revved out. So when it cut out, that was me turning the engine off immediately. There's a problem in the bores, we know that. We saw features. I think what has happened in the last 16 years, someone has tried to start it, and it started because the throttle's full on, and they've not turned it off in time. So they've basically gone full throttle.
And just held there for ages.
And it's just held there. I think that's what's happened.
I'll be interested in looking inside it, whether it looks as bad as it did before we ran it, because it might have cleared some of it. I don't know.
But it runs.
So what we'll do, we'll just look down that bore, see what we can see, and then we'll wrap up, me and you.
Yeah.
We'll have a little chat in here.
Yeah, sounds good.
After a well-earned break, we got back to work on the car, and Rich spotted that the accelerator pedal wasn't actually connected, and this backed up his theory. It's likely that someone tried starting the car with a stuck throttle, assumed the fault was the pedal, and yanked it up. So that we could actually run the car properly, Nick set about unseizing the throttle at the engine, so he could operate it by hand.
Is that all cylinders firing?
Not quite.
Not quite, there's a few missing.
It's a little bit missy.
Yeah.
So we've got to have a little bit of a play with the fuel system.
Okay.
It's generally pretty good.
But the misfire wasn't the only issue. Rich spotted another problem.
Switch it off now, Rich, so it gets too hot.
So the key is out, and it's still running.
Right.
The plot thickens, the plot thickens. He's just going to cut the fuel pump, I think. Hey!
You've always got some wiring
This has so many
issues.
twists and turns. It's just, you couldn't make it up.
Even though the engine ran, I was still concerned about the bore scoring, as it would mean yet another rebuild. And really, then I would definitely have to pass on this car due to the spiralling costs. Time for another bore scope.
It looks a lot better, doesn't it?
It does.
I'm not sure that's scored.
No. When it's cleaned itself
Yeah.
up.
Would you take the top and have a look at it with your eyes?
Once I get it running properly,
Yeah.
I get it up to temperature.
Yeah.
And then I would look at all the bores.
Definitely doesn't look like it did before.
No, it doesn't, no.
That could just been crap and residue that just tricking us. It might not be dire after all.
No?
Though that does make my life a little bit hard.
Does it?
If you're wondering what a healthy Porsche air-cooled flat six should sound like, Auto 2000 has restored this lovely 3.2 Carrera.
Nice.
That got me all excited. And so now it's decision time. Am I really going to take on the 911 SC project or not? I talked through the potential costs with Rich.
It's been an absolute roller coaster ride of emotions with that car. When I first saw it, I just fell in love with it. Get it on the ramp, get it up in the air. The rust is worse than I thought. There's going to be a lot of cost involved in getting all that done, the sills and everything. What do you think it's going to look like to get that done?
Well, I mean, seals, you're talking 3,000 a seal, and you're going to need 2 of those. You know, kidney bowls, £5,000 a side.
And that isn't the only thing that needs fixing. There's 2 wings, the scuttle and the windscreen surround, and other bits and pieces, plus interior trim. All of this would easily add another £15,000 to the cost. So on top of the £15,000 for the car, I'd likely be spending about £31,000 to get the body and interior into the condition I'd want. That means the total car will cost me £46,000. Still not bad for an air-cooled 911.
Going to be done anyway. We're going to do it. And if we do it, we'll do it right, and then we'll put it into stock. But if you want it, you can have it.
And then there was the engine.
The engine's a difficult one.
It's such a difficult one because you know what? My mind is made up when we're talking about bore scoring and it's going to need a rebuild. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm out. I'm definitely out.
Yeah.
But now
Yeah.
we've looked at the bores again. We're not sure.
Probably what we want to do is get some of the oil tested as well, see if there's any particulates in there. We need to have a better look at those bores.
Rich let me delay my decision on the car until we received the results of the oil analysis. After a few weeks of waiting, he finally messaged me with the results. Oh, typical. It's not good news, I'm afraid. Not quite in the way I was expecting though, but that seems to be a common theme, doesn't it, with this car? So we sent away 2 samples of oil, one from the old oil and one from the new oil after we'd run the car up. While they came back clean for the kind of metals you'd expect to find if there was bore scoring, so we don't think there's bore scoring, there were unusually high levels of lead and copper in both of the samples, which suggest bearing wear, and that would be the bearings on the crankshaft. And then Rich reckons that as a result of that, this car's going to need a bottom end engine rebuild, which would cost about £15,000. So when you factor that in and all the other repairs and the cost of the car, I'll be looking at like over £60,000 for this project. And to tell you the truth, I just don't have the time, energy, nor the available cash to take this project on. So I'm going to have to say no, I'm going to pass on this car. I'm going to have to message him to let him know that. I don't think he'll mind too much because he actually wanted to take the car on himself, and he said he would do at the beginning if I didn't want it. But I'm going to be intrigued to know. And yeah, if you want to find out what happens to the SC, you should follow Rich on his YouTube channel. It's Auto 2000 Porsche. Find out what happens. Did I make the right choice, or will I actually regret passing on this car? I guess only time will tell. There's a link to their channel in the description of this video. As well as following what happens with the SC, you'll also be able to find out more about the yellow 993 you may have spotted in the garage at the beginning of the video, because Rich has actually bought that very car.